All right, good afternoon, everyone. We can get started. I'm expecting more to join, but we are recording this, and it'll be available afterwards. I'm Mike Serra. I'm the executive director of the league. I'd like to thank you for joining us for the second of our Lunch and Learn legislative webinars on issues we expect to be get some attention during state budget. Just a technical check here. Can everyone hear me all right? If anyone on camera can just give me a thumbs up that you can hear me. All right, it's good. And can everyone see the screen that says Lunch and Learn, Energy Tax Receipts, and Public Notices? Okay, so uh, we're, things are looking up. I'm joined today. Erin Needler, who is our legislative analyst, is on, and she'll be joining us. We also have on the call Lori Buckaloo, who is the deputy executive director, and Paul Penna, our director of government affairs. Again, thank you for joining us on a beautiful afternoon. Unless you're an allergy sufferer, then maybe it's not so beautiful. I don't know. Let's get into this. I imagine this shouldn't be more than 30 minutes or so. So again, this again is the second series for on our webinars on the issues in the budget. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat box, or we can open it up at the end. And all right. So first of all, we're dealing with the state budget. In February, the governor presented before a joint session of the state legislature his proposed budget for fiscal year 2026. That is July 1 of this year, July 1 through June 30th of next year. The proposal is a $58.1 billion budget with an anticipated $6.3 billion surplus. Municipal relief funding. That says no municipal relief funding. That is entirely true. What we mean by that is there's no additional municipal relief funding here. There is the formula aid that goes to municipalities as every year. But unlike 3 years ago and 2 years ago, which we'll get into in a few moments, what would become known as the municipal relief fund has been zeroed out. State health benefits plan. This is going to be the subject of a future webinar that we'll be doing. We are anticipating a double-digit increase later this year, unless some sort of short-term relief is provided. In my budget testimony before both budget committees, I call for short-term relief and long-term reform but for the participating employers and the participating employees in the system. And again, flat funding regarding energy tax receipts. I'm going to hand this to, well, actually, I'll take energy tax receipts. This has been a major priority for the league, going back a number of years. And let me take a 101 approach here, because I don't want to assume that everyone understands or knows the history. Some of you obviously do, but historically, taxes that were collected from utilities for the use of the public right of way were collected locally for local purposes. And quite a number of years ago, 40 some years ago, legislation was passed to change that, so that the state became the point of collection, with the idea that the funding would be redistributed to municipalities. So again, to the second bullet point, just as municipalities collect property taxes for the benefit of the school district and the counties and other entities, and is expected to distribute it 100% of the levy, the state is supposed to collect the energy taxes for redistribution to municipal governments. That worked well for some years, not so well for some other years, but state budget crises come and go. For about a decade and a half, what we estimate is approximately 330 million before inflation has not been delivered to the municipalities and has been used instead for state budgeting purposes. And you can see that again, there's a poison pill. And basically, the state is at the minimum amount of money that needs to be returned to municipalities, absent Well, at least the 330 million, which is at the end of the day, property tax relief. And as a result, that this falls on the taxpayers. 3 years ago, fiscal year 2023, after a push by the league and our partners at the Conference of Mayors and the Urban Mayors Association, we were able to secure a $75 million appropriation, which was called the Municipal Relief Fund. In reality, and the legislative leaders at the time cited it as a first step restoration of energy tax receipts. They specifically said this funding is in place of the energy tax relief, the ETR. The following year, the Municipal Relief Fund was doubled to $150 million. Not $150. We'll correct that. But 100. So it was doubled. It was doubled in FY 2024. Again, after a major push by the league, the Conference of Mayors, and the Urban Mayors Association. Last year, it was zeroed out. More difficult budget season. Obviously, in 23 and 20, in FY 23 and FY 24, the state had more funding from the federal government and response, ARPA funding, and there were other revenues that were coming into the state. They were a little more flush with cash. Last year, that was not the case. We got zeroed out. The league has called for and continues to call for full restoration of the ETR, as local officials are in the best position to decide the use of these resources. So here's what you can do. We are drafting and we'll send out shortly a sample resolution that you can pass, calling for the state to get back to restoration of the energy tax receipts. Contact your state legislators. Maintain constant contact with your legislature and legislators. And if they're not on these respective committees, we would recommend reaching out to the committee members, specifically the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee and the Assembly Budget Committee as well. And they're listed here. When we follow up with email, we'll provide you as well with email addresses that they can be contacted. This is a major priority, I think, for organizations across the state. 2 years ago, when the funding was restored to $150 million, a joint letter was presented to an open letter to the administration and the legislature with 430 mayors signing on to it. We need to create that sort of groundswell again, not necessarily a letter, but a groundswell, which is why we're putting out the resolution that we would encourage everyone to adopt. We recognize that the state is not going to be able to achieve full restoration this year, but we want the state to get back to the path of full restoration. We also think that it might be wise to start taking a look at the underlying formula underneath, which has not been updated, as some legislators will point out when we raise this, in decades. Regardless, statutorily, this funding is meant to be returned to local property taxpayers, and that is our call. The second issue we want to deal with today is public notices, and Aaron is going to be covering that. But before we do that, just not to mix the topics, does anyone have any questions or comments on energy tax receipts? I'm checking the chat box. Mayor Canos.
When you say it's zeroed out for 2025, does that mean it's staying at the same level, or we're not getting any?
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. Wait.
Can you hear me now?
One moment.
Mike, if you want me, I can answer that.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mayor. I was having trouble with my audio. Could you ask again?
Yeah, I said when you said it was zeroed out, the ETR. Does that mean it's staying the same? It's not increasing, or are we getting none?
Flat. So
It's flat.
whatever
Okay.
you got last year,
It'd be the same.
it'll be the same.
Okay, thank you.
And I apologize for that mishap. Today is take your kids to work day, so we have kids. It's crazy. So getting easily distracted. Any other questions on energy tax receipts? I don't see any arms. I don't see any questions in the chat box. So we can circle back to that at the end. But Erin, why don't you pick up public notices?
Good afternoon, everybody. So Title 35, just by way of background, Title 35 outlines requirements for public notices. And it's basically to ensure transparency with government actions. It will talk about different legal obligations, such as meeting schedules, zoning changes, public bidding, tax notices, anything that you would need to publish if Title 35 will cover. If it's not covered in another statute. Specifically, Title 35 provides statutory requirements for the type of, and I put this in air quotes, newspaper to be used, and the contents of the notices and how to verify. Often we'll need affidavits of publication, so we cover that as well. Mike, thank you. So late in 2024, the governor had signed into law Public Law 2024, Chapter 106, and this was in response to many of the traditional newspapers stopping their print publications and going to strictly online publications, such as the Star Ledger. So the governor signed on the last day of December, creating a temporary fix so that municipalities could use print or online publications. So it would apply to any public notices you would have to legally publish. And then the fee would not exceed what the existing statutory rates were. That law did sunset on March 31st of this year. So because of that, Acting Governor Way signed into law on February 28th of this year, Public Law 2025, Chapter 22, which will extend that ability to publish either in print or online until June 30th of this year. It also placed some more requirements on newspapers, requiring the newspapers to provide specific data to the governor and the Office of Legislative Services within 30 days of the enactment, basically to try to provide data or get data together so that we could understand further where municipalities are publishing their notices, how much it costs, what their traffic is, what the retail costs, what are they charging for advertisements? So that would cover a time frame from 2020 to 2024. Thanks. The information would include the number of paid digital subscriptions for each public body, the number of unpaid and print, the number of newspapers sold daily by retailers, the amounts billed for those publications from 2020 to 2024, as said, the average retail price, and the daily number of page views on their websites for the online publications. So where do we go from here? The league has been advocating for legislation to authorize local governments to publish legal notifications on their own websites. As we all know, we're required to have a website. And where do residents go to find information? Typically, they'll go to the website of their local municipality to find out what's happening in their town. It would also allow municipalities to save time and resources, which in turn is property tax dollars. So, I think that it's the league's position that we give the residents a streamlined version of where to go to get their information. We've actually been repeatedly asked by the governor's office and by the legislature, different legislators, how much municipalities are spending on notices. So we did compile a survey that would go through those costs from 2020 to 2024. And I think on average, it was anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000 or $9,000 for each municipality. But it could be more than that, depending on what year it is and what you're publishing. So there's a survey online. If you would like to take it, if you haven't done so already, we would greatly appreciate it. And we also have a sample resolution that would be in support of municipalities being able to publish their legal notices on their website. We ask for your support, and if your governing body is willing to sign on to the resolution, we'd appreciate that as well.
If I can just chime in here for a moment. So as we approach the state budget season, the legislature is on break right now. There's really only a handful of options here. So we have the current extension. They could just let that lapse and rely on the existing statute, but that's not really an option because that leaves, a significant number of local governments with no ability to comply with the statute because there's no respective print edition. There's the ledgers, not printing anymore. The Jersey Journal, Trenton Times, so, and so on. So that's probably not an option. The other option is another extension through the end of the year or through the remainder of the legislative term, with the idea of dealing with it in what's called lame duck, which is after the election. There's usually a kind of a rush session to get to the finish line with the change in administration, and who knows where the legislature will be. There's always an effort to get a great deal of legislation done during lame duck. The other option is for them before the expiration of the current provisions, before it sunsets, is to do the long-term fix. Number one, I don't think is an option. I'm not going to predict what's going to happen about a further kicking the can down the road and deal with it in lame duck or doing with it right now, but it will be dealt with in the next few weeks and months. And so it's critical for local officials to engage on this. Again, the best case scenario here, and I think one that certainly has the ears of the legislative leadership and the governor's office, from what I'm hearing, is the simplest option, which is to give the local government the option to post on a bona fide local government website. We want options as well. Maybe not every municipality wants to do that for whatever reason. Maybe you want to do multiple, but we also want to have other options available to the local government. That's the best case scenario. And the resolution that we've pushed forward and the position is just that. And I see in the chat box, someone asked for the link to the survey and the resolution on public notices, and Paul Penna provided that as well. So you can go directly to that. So with that, let's open this up to any questions on public notices as well. I don't hear or see any. Could it be that our presentation was so thorough that we've answered every possible question that anyone could think of? I'd like to think so. All right. Thank you, Jason, for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Any questions in general on state budget, energy tax receipts, public notices, while I do a shameless promotion? And again, if you want to unmute yourself and just speak, please do so. But in the meanwhile, good way to stay up to date on developments in Trenton is the news flashes, which is on that link there. The publication survey is posted, the public notices, resolution is there. Do a little commercial for the league conference. Breaking news, yes, there is going to be a league conference this year. We're going to do the 110th. I think I used that joke in the first webinar, so I guess I may have to retire it. But one thing we do want to flag for folks is registration, delegate registration, and the hotel room blocks both open up on July 1. In previous years, there have been different dates, which created some confusion. There were some legacy contract issues we had to wait out, but finally we were able to reconcile that. So everything is going to be on July 1. And I see, let's see, Andrew, any word on the bid adjustment threshold in 2025? Or do we have a sense for what the new threshold will be? I'm going to kick that to either Lori or Paul. Can either one of you address that?
Certainly. It'll be July 1 when it's announced, and it's based on the consumer price index. So we don't have a word yet, Andrew, what that number is going to be, but we are keeping our eyes and ears out, and we'll let you know as soon as we know.
All right. And Nancy, you were asking for the links to be put. Well, the links will be active links in the PDF that you're getting. So once you get the PDF later, you can be able to click on those links and directly there. The ETR resolution won't be ready. I'd like to get on your agenda Monday. I think we can do that. Aaron, what's the status of that?
I took a first draft. We're working through it with the team, and hopefully we'll have something out either today or tomorrow.
And Mayor, what we could do, we could send you the draft too, and then we could send you, if we make any changes, we'll follow up with it. And again, these are drafts, so you tailor it based on your community as well. So we'll get it to you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, questions, rebuttals? Rebuttals is a joke, Mark. Smiling there, I'm sure. All right, another commercial. We're going to be doing a couple more of these. We're in early May. I think we had it scheduled for May 1, but I think we're going to reschedule that based on some circumstances. We're going to do a really deep dive on 3 land use preemption bills that we're very concerned about. They're being spun as housing reform. We view them as this preemption of local zoning, and particularly on any of this you can already do through the variance process. So we're going to do a deep dive on those. We might be doing that on May 6th. We'll send out more information on that. And we're going to be doing another deep dive on the state health benefits issue. And we're going to do that after May 15th, maybe as soon as May 16th. And that date is important because the state treasurer, when she presented her budget testimony, she got a lot of questions on this. And Budget Committee Chair Paul Sarlo asked for more detail in when she was coming back, which is on May 15th. So that's a hearing we're going to be at and we're going to be monitoring. So we're going to shortly thereafter, we're going to do a deep dive on that. So stay tuned for those upcoming webinars on those issues. So with that,
Mike, it's Veronica. I'm sorry,
Veronica, yes.
Yes.
How you doing down there in Lacey, Veronica? It's been
We're
a rough couple
holding
of
together.
days.
We're holding together. It's been a rough few days. I signed on about 10 minutes late and I missed the ETR update. Can you just give me a condensed, real quick version? I'm sorry for running on late. I'm just a bit busy.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. The Reader's Digest version is 3 years ago. There was 150 million. I'm sorry, 75 million in municipal relief fund as the first step to restoration of ETR. Yeah. 2 years ago, it was 150 million. It was zeroed out last year. We're pushing for the legislature to get back to restoration this year, recognizing it's going to be a multi-year process. We have a sample resolution
Okay.
that we're gonna be pushing out that you should get as well.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So while they dumped more money into the ETR and then we each saw 2 years in a row the additional funds, they didn't keep that full amount in those funds though. So while we get a tremendous amount of money and we received over the 2 years $1.1 million more, they took that back away though then.
Right. It was zeroed
Yeah.
out last year.
Yes. So
And it was,
so
and the governor's proposed budget zeroes it out again.
Okay, yeah, because I saw that with my state, as they call it, state aid things. All right,
Right.
so I'll just look for that resolution. I saw it in the links. So and then if I didn't already adopt one, I'll adopt another one then.
All right.
But I do need to thank everybody on the call and the state for everything that they've done for our community and Ocean Township, my next door neighbor, because it's been a hell of a 2 days.
I can't imagine, but hang in there. And if you need
We will.
anything, let us know, please.
We definitely will, and I appreciate everybody's prayers and everything here. And thank God there was no lives lost.
Absolutely. Thank God for that.
All right. Thank you, Mike, for the update.
All right. My pleasure. Solidarity, Ocean County. Couldn't agree any more, Nancy.
Yeah.
All right, with that, folks, we said this would be brief, and I guess 30 minutes, and it's 30 minutes it's been. So I'd like to thank everyone here. Stay tuned. We have at least 2 more of these we're going to be doing. Guessing around May 6th, but you'll get a notice on it as well, and sometime after May 15th. But with that, just stay busy, reach out to your legislators, and stay engaged. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's lunchtime. Did you take my pen? Harriet? Harriet?